Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot. I'm coming to you with this video uh, because I want to make a reaction on a video that I came across that came on my timeline um, yesterday morning, I believe it was. It was either yesterday or today. But I just found it fit considering the content that I do on this channel, and I think that a lot of people need to know more of this. Okay, it has a lot to do with number one, the children. Okay, if anybody watches my channel, you know I do a lot of content when it comes to children being indoctrinated. Okay, and number two, it also has to do with the indoctrination of grown-ups. Okay, mainly what we've been seeing, which is a lot of liberal women in America and abroad, but we're going to pay attention to America, of how they've been acting lately and how they've been treating people in society. Where a lot of people are saying that, you know what, I mean, they're getting all kinds of names, okay, saying that they're crazy, that they're disturbed, mentally disturbed. Some people say demon possessed, whatever the case is, but we do see it. We do know that this is something that it almost seems like it's on the rise more and more, no matter how much people on the right and even some people on the left that are just not with it push back. And it makes you wonder, okay, why exactly does it seem like more and more women, liberal women, are coming out of the woodwork? And then we have to ask the question, what is this going to do 5 years from now? Let's just say we'll use that number for now. What's it going to do 5 years from now to children who right now are in between the ages of, let's say, 5 and 10? Okay? And in my opinion, after watching this video that I came across, it's not surprising that it's only going to get worse if we don't keep pushing back against it. And at the same time, it's not surprising that this is something that has been put in the works for years now. Okay? Now, I'm going to do a reaction on the video, like I said, and there's some other information that I came across, and it's about a certain person. So I want everybody to stick with this video, okay? Especially if you care about your kids, especially if you care about what they're teaching and pushing on the kids in school. And I want to, how can I say? I want to direct this video to the white people in our country. Okay, and I'm nothing against you, nothing like that. I'm just saying, because it really bothers me the way this whole push and this whole labeling system of, like, you know, white systemic racism and white supremacy and white toxic males and all that. You know, it really pisses me off the way the left keeps pushing that narrative. Okay, and I'm not the only one that feels like this. There are plenty of people that feel the same. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian. You know, a lot of people that have family and friends and truly care about humanity, we're getting sick and tired of it. But when you have people, okay, constantly pushing out that rhetoric day after day, it's like, when does it stop? And what can we do so like that it doesn't affect younger people, and then we got to keep worrying about it 5-10 years from now, maybe even 15-20 years from now? Who knows? Hopefully not. But I don't want to make this introduction too long, so I hope you're still with me. Okay, it's past 30 seconds or whatever the case is. I'm going to do a reaction, like I said, on a video that came across my timeline. Why it came across my timeline, I have no idea, other than the fact that, you know what, I'm going to do a reaction on it because it pertains to the kids. Okay, and adults, but mainly to the kids. So without further ado, here we go. Okay, Patriots, I hope you're still with me. So this is the video that came across my timeline. Okay, and it was put out by I didn't get the woman's name, but she has a YouTube channel. Go check her out. Show her some love. Okay, I watched a couple of her videos already, and I like it. And the name of her channel is Saving Culture from Itself. And the name of her video is What is Driving Liberal Women Crazy? Hence why I put my title to my video, because it's like, what exactly could be driving all these, what's making these liberal women in America and, in other areas, what's making them act like this? Okay, act the way that they acting. Very abusive, very angry. And she put this video out because of a book that she wants to show people, and because of what happened in Minneapolis with the ICE shooting of I can't remember her first name, but her last name Good. Okay, the woman that wound up getting shot by an ICE agent, shot and killed. Okay, now remember, like I said, I have nothing against white people, but it just seems like there's this indoctrination agenda that's been going on, and when you see who are some of the players, or many of the players behind it, it's like, why, oh why, okay, is it mostly like white women on the left that are like pushing this kind of indoctrination, pushing this kind of rhetoric, basically making people feel less of themselves? I mean, there's so many different things. You know it, I know it, we know what's going on, what's been going on for years. But the scary part is that they're also, and we all know this too, but they're also pushing it on kids in school. Now, I'm going to play the video. I'm going to start it now. This woman, like I said, I didn't get her name. I'm sorry, I apologize. But go to our channel, show her some love, subscribe, and watch her videos, because she talks about a lot of stuff that more people need to see what's going on. And channels like hers, they, in my opinion, they should just be bigger than what they are. But we all know what's going on with that. I'll digress. So, without further ado, pay attention to what she says and the book that she's going to talk about. Here we go.
Since the death on the 7th of January 2026 of Renee Good in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a lot of people on the internet are talking about what's going on with white, progressive, and liberal women and their ever more deranged activism. I want to explain that using one really small but very telling example from the kind of social justice culture that America has been swimming in for quite a long time, but in a very acute way since in the last decade or so. And I'm going to use that, or I'm going to do that by holding a mini story hour featuring this book, Not My Idea, a book about whiteness, which is by an author called Anastasia Higginbotham. Nice posh name there.
Okay, before I continue, I did some research on that author, so I'm going to share that with you as we go through the video.
The book was published in 2018, and as you can see, it's meant for really young children. It's a board book, so hardback, with mostly illustrations and very few words. And that's how we know that it's meant for really little kids, like preschool kids, before they've learned to read. And I'll get into this book in a second, but what's important to note is that while this is just a book, and a book among many, trashy, kind of race-baiting, woke books meant to indoctrinate American children, this is one of the worst examples I've ever seen of an explicit attempt to traumatize and disturb white children, in particular for the color of their skin. And the case that I'm going to make after we look at this book is that someone like Renee Good has been participating and has been affected by this totally condoned form of culture and education for children in the United States. So I'm going to skip right to the worst part of this book.
Okay, now I'm going to pause it there for a second. Now, in case nobody knows, I'm going to show you some information I found on this woman, so I'm going to minimize this. I started asking questions. Needed to find out about this woman, and to find out if her books are in the public school system. And it says right here, it says yes, Anastasia Hagenbaum, whatever. Her books, What You Don't Know, A Story of a Liberated Childhood, has been introduced into the New York City public schools. The book, which is part of the Universal Mosaic Independent Reading Curriculum, has sparked controversy due to its content and the characters it features. The book's themes and characters have been met with mixed emotions, with some parents and community members expressing concerns about its appropriateness for children. So keep that in mind. So this woman, the author, she writes books. It's in the New York public city school system, okay? And like I said, it makes you wonder who like vets these authors and their books and comes out and says, you know what, I think this will be good. This will be perfect to put in the public school system. We already see the racism that's being carried out against white people in America. Okay? I mean, in general, there is racism. We know this. Let's not be naive. Okay? But as a nation, we're trying to heal from that and move forward and do better. But when you have people putting out books for kids in a school system, that racism is never going to end. It's going to continue and continue. And what I don't understand is that the author of this book is a white woman, and now she's trying to put the guilt trip on kids. Now there's more to her. There's more shocking than this that I'm going to talk about. But you have to think about this, people, because had it been me as a Native American, Latino, born and raised in the Bronx, if this was a Spanish person doing this, trying to put out a book like this, I'd be even more upset. Okay? If it was an American black person doing this, trying to belittle the black culture, for a fact people will be upset about this. And the left would be upset about this, bashing that person. Okay? But why is it that a white woman, a liberal, could come out and put out this garbage, and they just go and take it and say, we're going to put this into the school system? It's insane, people. It's really, it's something to really think about. But let's continue.
This plot of it is that a young girl, a small child, has her mother trying to explain to her police killings of, I think it's in this case, a black man, and why she, as a child, bears some responsibility towards that. And it builds up to finally, at the very end of the book, on page 59, the child is offered a contract. The contract is binding you to whiteness.
Now, this is in the book, people. This is in the book. This page right here is a contract, and I believe she says it's blank. So whichever kid gets this book, okay, whoever's pushing this on whatever kid, it's like they're almost enticing them to go and feel guilty about themselves, and then say, you know what, I'm gonna sign this contract because this is me. This is the kind of person I'm being told that I am. This is sick. This is really, really, really sick, people. This is evil. It's evil and demonic. Now, she's going to explain more on this page right here, so brace yourselves.
You get stolen lands, stolen riches, special favors, and whiteness gets to mess endlessly with the lives of your friends, neighbors, loved ones, and all fellow humans of color for the purposes of profit. Your soul, sign below.
I'm gonna pause it. That's sick. That is sick, people. You know that kids like to scribble in books and write their names in books and stuff like that. And something like this will make a kid think, you know what? Oh, let me sign this because, like I said, these kids are going to start thinking that they should feel guilty. And what better way to indoctrinate the kids than through a kid's book in a school? Okay, I mean, I didn't do a lot of research to even know if, let's say, a bookstore selling this, like, I'm not saying that they are, but, a big bookstore like Barnes & Noble or whatever the case is. But it makes you wonder, are these books being pushed out? Are they being mass produced? And are these liberal parents buying these books for their kids, reading it to them, teaching them something that is just wrong and evil, is not true, and then basically making them sign on the dotted line as if they're signing their souls away? Does anybody understand what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure you do, and this is something that you have to look at, and you got to be like, wait a minute. Again, you got to ask the question, who in the public school system in New York decided that this was a good idea to put this woman's work in front of children? It's almost as if, and I've said this before on a couple of videos, it's almost as if there's this giant conspiracy for how can I say, for child sacrifice. And it doesn't have to be the physical kind, but the spiritual kind is way worse than the physical kind. Okay, we all know that, because you condemn your soul, that's it. You know where you're going to live eternity. We all know this as Christians. But it's like, why do these people, why do they keep pushing and pushing and pushing this agenda on kids? And why are grown-ups in high places going along with it? It's insane.
And there's a little caveat: land, riches, and favors may be revoked at any time for any reason. And here we see the fire, burning earth, the dollar, the filthy dollar. And look at that, a devil's tail. So it's actually telling the child.
And not only the tail, if you look closely, those look like goat hooves, goat feet. Okay? I don't know if you can see it where I'm putting my pointer at. So you know exactly what it is. They're trying to tell these kids, if you sign here, this is what you're signing off to. This is what you're doing. And it's like, are you seriously trying to get these kids engaged in this book to sign this off as if it's a contract that without them knowing, innocently they are signing their souls over? This is demonic, people.
Burning earth, the dollar, the filthy dollar. And look at that, a devil's tail. So it's actually telling the child that they are signing a contract. They're signing their soul with the devil simply by existing. Ergo, the child is akin to a devil just by existing as a white child with white skin in America. Whiteness is a bad deal. It always was. Dude, we can see your pointy tail. So here we go.
This is a white woman that wrote this book, saying that white is a bad deal. My God. What is going on? My question, another question I have, where did that woman fall? I should say, when did that woman fall? Or was she raised to be like that? Or was she indoctrinated? And there's not a young woman that wrote this book. Like I said, I got some more information to show you on her. But it just makes you wonder. It's like, this is why I say, people, that I truly believe that there are demons walking among us. And they're coming in all forms. Black, white, male, female, it doesn't matter. But when it comes to God's gift, which is children, innocence, okay, this is what the enemy wants to destroy. Okay? He knows the love that Jesus Christ has for us, especially the children. And yet you have these adults that are going out here and making it seem like, well, I'm just an author, I'm a free thinker, my freedom of speech lets me write this book. They're working their way through humanity, through society, through laws and policies and legislation that are meant to make society better. They're working their way through whatever loopholes, and they're using it against us in the most evil, wicked way.
Children are the devil. White children are minions of the devil. That is what this book, which was written by a white woman, of course, is telling young American children who read it. Tell me that's not evil. How much more evil can you possibly be? Very interestingly, this wording here, to mess endlessly with the lives of your friends, neighbors, loved ones, and all fellow humans of color, that language is explicitly and almost identically reproduced by white women all over social media who are right now going out there and protesting about ICE enforcement actions to remove illegal immigrants from the United States.
It's true.
They are always talking about they are going to stand in the line for their neighbors, friends, and loved ones of color. This book is not necessarily, I'm not saying this book was Renee Good's favorite book. I have no idea if she ever read it or not, or ever came across it. What I am saying is that this book is...
That's what the woman is, Renee Good, the one that the ICE agent wind up shooting.
The perfect encapsulation of the kind of racially toxic social justice woke ideology that so many American progressive women are currently in the grips of. If you ascribe to this idea that your whiteness has given you stolen lands, stolen riches, and what was the other word? Special favors. Side note, I have yet to receive my stolen lands and stolen riches despite my evident whiteness. So what's up with that, devil? Where's my loot? But if you ascribe to this vile, and I think implicitly genocidal ideology, you're taught, basically brainwashed, to hate your ancestors. You should be grateful to your ancestors, of course, because without them and their ability to survive, you would not exist. But in teaching you to hate your ancestors, it also cuts you off from an important part of yourself, the part of yourself that is rooted in the human whole, the human past, the part of your story that gives you, the individual, your context and your legacy. And if you hate that, and if you denigrate that, and if you think that your ancestors were poisonous evildoers, then you yourself are poisoned.
It's true. It's true. If you want to criticize things about your culture, your race, whatever, that's one thing. But to denigrate it and go out of your way to denigrate it more and destroy it and make the people in your racial circle feel less of themselves, what does that say about you as a person? You know what I mean? I mean, we hear so many times people on the left that are leaving the left and they're tired of the left because whether you're Latino or black or white, whatever the case is, you're on the left. It's like they're always trying to keep their people down. You have all these black politicians that are trying to keep the black communities down. You have these white politicians that are trying to belittle the white people in the white community, but only if you don't agree with them. Or I shouldn't say that. They're doing it whether you agree with them, and if you don't agree with them, they push even harder to degrade you. So what does that say about the person themselves? And how they keep indoctrinating people, how they keep getting people on their side to basically listen to them and believe it. It's got to be the work of the enemy. That's the only thing I can think of. They go after weak-minded people. You know, if you look at Antifa, Antifa is predominantly white people. Okay, as a matter of fact, there's a video that was circulating. I don't know if they took it down and if they went and arrested the guy. This came out yesterday. I seen it. It was on TikTok or Instagram, whatever. It was some Antifa leader who was calling that Antifa needs to, that basically they need to start arming themselves and taking matters into their own hands. Basically calling for, like, you know, people to get hurt. And it's like, so what you're basically saying is you're a white guy who is part of a basically anti-American traitorous group in America calling on the destruction of other white people. Only because they're not going along with what you're saying, with what this woman said that is being said, that you say you're looking out for your neighbors, your friends, your family, and your neighbors of color. You want them all here. You want to put them first before anybody else. Regardless of who they are, where they come from, what they're doing, what their past might be. You'd rather sacrifice that. It's like you're willing to kill off yourself. And the only thing I could think of, and I'm sure a lot of you, think the same. The only kind of person that would think like that is an evil person. Because no person in their right mind is going to look like me. There's a lot of fault in the Native American community, in the Latino community. I'm not out there trying to just belittle them and just basically make them feel guilty. No, I call out what's right and I call out what's wrong. But it's like these liberals, they just want to make it seem as if you're guilty by association to your skin, to your race, to your ancestors, where they come from. I mean, even if your ancestors were just dirt poor farmers for the past 2,000 years, they want you to feel guilty about that. I mean, it's nuts. I'm going to play a few more minutes, and then I'm going to get to the information I found out about that author, which is crazy. Okay, like I said, because I asked a question when I was looking up her information. I'm like, who indoctrinated her? How did all this, like, with her thinking, her mindset, when did it all start? How did it all start? And why? Why would she go, if she cares so much, why would she go and continue is like just going down this evil road?
Drive a person insane. And the American liberal establishment has condoned and actively participated in, even shoved down the throats for decades now, this kind of emotional and intellectual destruction, specifically targeted at children and young people via the teaching of this vile ideology.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. Okay, if you want to go see the full video, go on her page, her channel. Like I said, check her out. Check out the whole thing. I don't want to take up all her clout here. Okay, so this is who the woman is right here. This is the author. Okay, this picture right here, I had to enlarge it. Okay, I'll show it to you guys right now. And it says here, okay, now right in the background is a cardboard cutout of Colin Kaepernick. If nobody knows who he is, look him up. Trust me, you people that know, you know. Okay, one of the biggest race baiters, raised by white parents, mind you. In my opinion, I think he's a damn disgrace. But that's whatever. But down here it says, not my idea. This is the book that she's promoting. A book about whiteness, out now. The book launch, special guest in cardboard form cutout, which is Colin Kaepernick. And supposedly it says, because I'm on his side, okay, I kneel to get closer to this ground of America, of America's making, where the truth, the treasures, and the bodies are all buried. This was put out September 6, 2018. Okay. Very strange. Very, very strange. But anyway, so I read you. So, well, here's another book she put out. because I was looking at her page bio right here. I'll read that in a second. It's a small read. But there's a book that popped out here. I'll read this real quick, just some of it, and I'll jump to the next one. It says Anastasia Higginbotham, whatever, launched her Ordinary Terrible Things children's book series in 2015. So this woman is going back over 10 years, okay? And it's a book that talks about with divorce. With divorce is the worst. She followed with death is stupid. And tell me about sex, Grandma. And I'm like, what? I mean, just the titles of her book alone. Divorce is the worst. She followed with death is stupid. That's the name of the other book. And tell me about sex, Grandma. So I looked up that book. Like, what the hell is that all about? And it says right here, Tell Me About Sex, Grandma is a book by Anastasia Higginbotham. That addresses, this is what I'm saying. What the hell is it with you freaking liberals with this, with the fascination of teaching kids about their sexuality? I just can't sometimes. I'll read it again. It says, "Tell Me About Sex, Grandma" is a book by Anastasia Higginbotham that addresses sexuality in an accessible and appropriate manner. It emphasizes the dynamics of sex rather than just the mechanics, encouraging readers to understand that sex is not solely about marriage or reproduction, and that everyone has the right to make their own choices regarding it. The book is designed to help children and young adults grasp the concept of sex without fear, fostering open discussions about sexuality. I don't understand. Just the title alone is encouraging a child to go and ask their grandma, not the mother, not the father. You know, if the book was titled, Tell Me About Sex, Mom, Tell Me About Sex, Dad. No, let's go to grandma. Now, I haven't read the book, but where does grandma come in all this? Okay? But it's like, the book is designed to help children and young adults grasp the concept of sex without fear, fostering open discussions about sexuality. And it says here, wow. It's encouraging readers to understand that sex is not solely about marriage or reproduction. This is the kind of person that is also writing a book about telling white kids that they should basically hate themselves for being white. So, as I'm reading this, okay, and I'm going to read it, I'm going to maximize this, okay, people? So I hope you guys are still with me, man, because this is some serious stuff. It says, Anastasia Higginbotham launched her Ordinary Terrible Things children's book series in 2015. With Divorce is the Worst, she followed with Death is Stupid and Tell Me About Sex, Grandma. Her 2018 book, Not My Idea, a book about whiteness, invites white children to connect to their own sense of justice and confront systemic racism. It earned the International Children's Library White Raven Award in 2019. How? Unbelievable. And is being targeted for its insistence on trusting the humanity and capacity of white children to love themselves and align with black liberation to get free from a system that was not their idea. You can't make this up. This is her page. This is hers. Okay? Wow. Higginbotham makes her books by hand in collage on grocery bag paper using recycled materials. Her work demonstrates a way for kids to cope with change and loss by making meaning out of whatever broken, ragged, or unraveling life circumstances they face. You know, I highly doubt that these things are going to help children that are going through that in their lives, because all this does is just push more negativity. into their lives, into their mind, into their thoughts about others and themselves. This is crazy. A direct challenge to the status quo. Yeah, okay. Higginbotham's work undermines systems of supremacy by empowering children to recognize when they are being lied to and demand to know the truth. Daughter Press publishes all of Higginbotham's books, including her middle grade books, What You Don't Know, A Story of Liberated Childhood, featured in the New York City Department of Education's Mosaic curriculum in 2021, and You Ruined It, narrated by School Library Journal as one of the best books of 2022. Higginbotham writes for social justice organizations. You see what I'm saying? This is crazy. And teaches full impact self-defense for Prepare Inc. Her work has been featured in The Atlantic, Library Review, The Believer, The New York Times, Mrs. BITCH, Mrs. I'm trying to keep from cursing in this video. The Sun, The Woman's Review of Books, and in anthologies including Yes Means Yes, 33 Things Every Girl Should Know, and Listen Up, Voices from the Next Feminist Generation. I mean, I don't, everything here is just wrong, people. Just wrong. Yes means yes. That right there. I mean, that's just one of the titles that people seriously need to be concerned about. So I'm like, you know what? Let me do a little more research on her background. Okay, I'm gonna try not to keep the video too long. Here's another little short read. This will let me just minimize, shut this down a little bit. Okay. So I came across this, and it says this was put up by Exchange. Okay, and this is about her, Anastasia Higginbotham. It says, Putting Childhood First, an interview with author Anastasia Higginbotham about approaching difficult topics through children's books. Okay? This is what I'm saying. This is going to blow your mind. My first encounter with Anastasia Higginbotham's work was not my idea. A book about whiteness, a children's picture book about racial justice that is currently banned in several states. I saw myself in the story growing up white in St. Louis, Missouri, born in 1956. I differed from the child in the book. My parents did not shield me or look away from racism, but rather they shared and shed light on it. My parents' early influence paved the way for my path to unfold in the clear directions of justice. How often is this the case in white families? After using Not My Idea for my own self-examination, I found that the book had value for my peers and my students. I have always had the practice of using children's books for grown-ups. Higginbotham's picture books explore challenging human experiences like death, divorce, sex, race, and abuse. Higginbotham's stories come in the form of color-rich collage crafted on grocery paper bags with yada, 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 yada. The focused minimalistic scenes evoke strong emotions. Still, there is plenty of space left on the page for a reader to project their own intimate experience of common childhood events. So this is somebody doing research on the author to this book. Okay? And then something very interesting, after I read this, I'm like, and just by looking at this, it's like, okay, so this is supposed to be a woman who's putting out children's books, but this grown-up who's examining it fell for it. I don't see how that happens. I truly don't see how a grown-up could look at a children's book and say, you know what, I can align with all this. And I say that because as an adult, if it was an adult writing the book that saying, okay, you're probably like this because of this, this, and this. Okay? But for an adult, somebody who's supposed to be smart, somebody who's an author, an editor themselves, or whatever the case is, to look at a children's book and say, you know what, I can align with this. That tells me that you have something seriously mental going on from your past that you yourself haven't broken out of, and you're going to use that as a crutch to move forward in life. And that is a mental problem. Okay? And not only is it a mental problem, the person writing the book is basically trying to set kids up to keep thinking in that mindset throughout their life. Which hence, you teach them when they're a kid, as they get older, they're going to become people like the author to the book and this person writing this article. And then they're just going to push it back on younger kids again. And it's just going to be a vicious cycle of just basically hate yourself, hate yourself, hate yourself, hate your family, hate your ancestors, hate yourself. Insane. One thing here, okay, right here on a page where it says talks and workshops, okay, and this is the most important part, okay. Higginbotham joins classrooms, story times, and book groups in person and online to discuss the themes in her books. Author talks and workshops draw on her experiences as a speechwriter, self-defense teacher, and social justice advocate. Right here. Talks are tailored to adults, kids, or both. And that part right there is basically where you have to start asking the question. How do these adults become like this? What's going to happen to the children? Well, when you have people like this woman right here, basically making books for kids, but also having like workshops where the adults are coming in, let's just assume, because it's safe to assume, the parents and their kids, she's basically indoctrinating grown-ups and children. And what's going to wind up happening is that the next adult with their child is going to do the same thing. And the next one, and the next one. And it's going to go on and on and on. And when you have people like her basically given the green light to take their filth and get an award for it and put it through the school system, what do you think is going to happen, people? Where are we going? When will it end? And then they'll go and vilify, like Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, for banning books. And what do they call him? A racist, a fascist, whatever the case is. Mind you, he's Cuban, but nobody cares about that. But in her book, she's telling the kids to feel guilty because what they really should be doing is caring for their family, their friends, their loved ones, and their neighbors of color. Ron DeSantis is supposedly a man of color, but when he's pushing back against it, what do? They call him a fascist, a racist, or whatever have you. Now, I'm not saying that one of her books was banned from the Florida school system. I don't know. I'm just saying, when it comes to these liberals, that's what they're doing. But when you have women like this teaching liberal adults to teach their kids, this is a demonic, vicious cycle. And it just makes you wonder. Now, I don't know if you can see her face. I know I'm probably covering it up. Let me move my cursor over here. I mean, my face. This is her right here. So it makes you wonder. Why? Why are there people out there? Why are there white liberal women out there that are getting the green light to do something like this, that are getting the green light to go and make young white children feel bad about themselves? There's a lot of content I don't put out because I know it's going to stir a lot of anger in people. But I mean, I have seen more than my fair share of videos of racial attacks on black people, on white people, on Hispanics, on Asian, and it's like that is only fueled by people. People to act out like that is fueled by people like her. Okay? People like Jasmine Crockett. People like Barack Obama. They want to give that racial divide and make people made people hate themselves. You know, Barack Obama was out there scolding young black men for not voting for Kamala Harris. What does that say about him? This woman's out here trying to make white children feel guilty about themselves. What does that say about her? You know? AOC's over here pushing at the Puerto Rican Day Parade, pushing for Mamdani to be mayor. What does that say about her and how she feels about the Latino community, knowing that Mamdani's a Muslim and he's also a supposed socialist, or whatever the hell the case is? It's like, when you got these people in different parts of society and they hold rank in the political arena, it just always seems like it's coming from the left, like they're trying to break their people down. But even though I'm focusing on this when it comes to one particular race, can't anybody see that? You have the liberals, you have the white liberals bringing on the white liberals, you have the Hispanic liberals bringing on the Hispanic liberals, you have the black liberals bringing on the black liberals, but then they all get together and they just bring everybody down even more. And it's because you what you have is like I said, I truly believe is demons walking among us. That's what I truly believe. I cannot look at somebody in the Native American or Latino community or just a regular American belittling all of America just because of what one American did. Why do these people get away with this? How does this woman get an award for putting out this garbage, man? It's beyond me. It truly is. But anyway, this is the video that I wanted to put out. I know it's different, but when it comes to the kids, I gotta speak on it. I don't care what race you are. When it comes to kids, you just hands off the kids, man. Hands off the kids. And in my opinion, I think that the Board of Education needs to be revamped. All these other entities that gave this woman praise, they should be boycotted because they're part of the problem. Okay, plain and simple. Anybody to think that this woman deserved an award, they need to be boycotted. This does not help children in the future. It is going to hurt more people in the future. It's going to hurt more white people in the future. It's going to hurt more black people, Hispanic people. Because all it has to do is start with one, and then it's going to trickle off into the other ones. And didn't we go through slavery, through the Jim Crow era and stuff like that? It's like, you know, we've come so far, and now you're going to choose a new race to belittle? It's insane. It truly is insane. But anyway, that's what I got for you. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass the channel around. And if you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. So remember, people, stay vigilant. Keep praying for each other. Keep praying for the women and the children. Pray for this country. Pray for your enemies. Pray for President Trump. And don't forget to pray for all the missing children that they brought across the border. Peace.